Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the broadcast. With a 3-day workshop aimed at building the customer service skills of grocery minibus drivers being conducted, Solange Alfred took to the streets to find out your opinion on whether customer service training should be mandatory for all drivers. Here's what you had to say.
With minibus drivers being the driving force behind society, a 3-day workshop was held to build their capacity in the field of customer service. So we posed the question to you, the public. Should customer service training be mandatory for minibus operators? This is what you had to say.
Well, at this time, I thought that every minibus driver already had that. Because to be a minibus driver, you must go to a defensive driving program. And at that program, I think they're teaching all sorts of etiquette to the drivers. Although there must be follow-up, I am happy that there is a follow-up, but I'm expecting every bus driver should know exactly how to cooperate with the passengers, the other minibus drivers, and every commuters on the road. Because this has been taught to them without having this license, knowing what you're supposed to do. You cannot be a minibus driver. But I'm happy for the follow-up.
Well, that was a very good idea for the president to put that into place, because a lot of them don't really know about the thing, but I feel it's really enlightening. Because I attended it on Wednesday. Mm-hmm.
What did you learn?
Well, most of the things, because I've been there for a while, but most of the things I know about already, because I did defensive driving and all the tips that the fellows who were in charge giving the lectures and so. I know about that, but it was very good because a lot of them don't really know about customer service and so.
Well, it's really important because some minibus drivers are very ignorant and they don't know how to treat their customers, especially commuters of their transport service. And I think they should get educated as to how to treat transporters.
I always say minibus drivers need training because of the service they just give customer. It's not good at all. Very bad.
So what more can be done?
Train them, give them training. They need training. Government do something, give them training. Have a symposium for minibus drivers. That will help them a lot.
Yeah, well, I could only speak of Grosley. I mean, we take the lead on that. We are the biggest association with 179 members. So I know it's a need that our drivers get the training. So I'm just asking maybe the other minibus drivers, the other routes association could take heed and maybe go through that same training. Yeah.
Thank you. There you have it, the Grosley bus drivers paving the way for what is to come in the realm of customer service, and the public weighing in saying that they are in agreement with this mandatory customer service training. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Those were your views. The president of the Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari, Aaron Alexander, is tired of talk and is calling for action in order to get government ministers to do the jobs which they were elected to do. Alexander says ministers are in need of a shake-up to realize and understand that the people of the nation are truly fed up. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
The president of the Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari, Aaron Alexander, is angry and he has a message to send out. Alexander said for too long, St. Lucian politicians of both main political parties have drained the resources of the island for their own personal gain, whilst leaving St. Lucians to wallow in poverty and substandard conditions. He specified the current state of the island's health sector and highlighted the fact that the ministers refuse to make serious efforts to fix the problem as they are not affected by it directly.
Politicians and so on, when they have health conditions and situations, they would fly overseas to go and get health care and go and get support, etc. And then we, the ordinary folks, cannot afford to do that. And yet still we vote these people in office with the hope that they're going to put proper healthcare facilities for us and so on and so forth, and they don't do it. And then you hear all corruption going on with St. Jude's money, and OKEU want to be privatized, and you hear all these kind of things. And then when the politicians fall sick, they fly overseas. So it's high time we St. Lucia start terrorizing these politicians when they do these kind of things, and terrorize them, terrorize their family, because they cannot leave us in the shithole as far as healthcare is concerned. And because they have big money, they could fly out, then they thief our money, they do all kind of corruption thing. Our hospitals cannot finish. They want to privatize our hospital, and I don't care who's in office. We need to terrorize these people, man. It's high time St. Lucians wake up and realize what's going on, because all of us will suffer. Red, yellow, black, blue, it don't matter. Everybody suffer in this thing.
Alexander went on to call on St. Lucians to wake up, put the political biases aside and focus on what matters the most. St. Lucia.
We as St. Lucians, our minds are too political. We have to start looking at this thing from a national perspective. Let us first be St. Lucians before we belong to any political party. Let us first be patriotic and St. Lucia first. St. Lucians, St. Lucia first. Not SLP, not UWP. St. Lucia first. If it's not good for the country, whether you red, yellow, blue, vote against it and stand up against it. It's high time we start doing this in this country. You know, and I have said on many occasions, I've supported both political parties, but at the end of the day, I'm always a St. Lucian first, and I will maintain that. No political party cannot own me. And I will always speak of my own free will and always speak of injustice in this country and ensure that St. Lucia always comes first, not UWP, not SLP, not PLP, not NOP, but St. Lucia always comes first for me.
Alexander said he's not asking St. Lucians to use violence to get their points across. However, he said the masses can no longer sit quietly and allow the injustice to continue. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Local pilot Sylvanus Ernest is giving his full support to the recent decision taken by the government of St. Lucia to move away from the Eastern Caribbean civil aviation. Ernest said many people might not have a full grasp on the situation at hand. However, it is bigger than most realize. He went on to indicate that the system is fraught with unfairness.
We have had the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority governing aviation within the region. And if you take a look at what's happening in aviation, you will realize that that's not working. That authority is a mess. And when the government talk about the Prime Minister and Guy Joseph talks about moving away from the Eastern Caribbean civil aviation, I think that's the best thing that could happen to aviation, because we are being stifled down here when it comes to the Civil Aviation Authority. I'll give you an example. St. Lucia doesn't have an airline company. Dominica doesn't have one. St. Kitts doesn't have. Grenada doesn't have. But guess what? St. Vincent alone have 4 airlines. So you have to wonder why St. Vincent would have 4 and all those islands wouldn't have 1. Right? Who is the chairman of the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority? The Prime Minister of St. Vincent. So you really have to wonder.
He indicates that St. Lucia has tried many times to get a company off the ground. However, all attempts to get one through ECA have been in vain. He says the organization has become a monster authority and the best way of defeating it is to cut ties.
And there need to be a conversation, there need to be a discussion for us to understand the pain that we have been going through with the Civil Aviation Authority. You know, for years I have been having problems with them where they have actually grounded my airplanes for no reason. Say the FAA was carrying out an investigation and we proved that wasn't true. They didn't want me to fly my little plane for no reason. And we need to sit down and find out exactly what is going on, because this is an authority that, look, even if you take that authority to court, you cannot win them, because based on what they say, that they cannot be sued. So this authority can come in, ground your airplane for no reason, and you cannot do nothing about that. And I have a few people that have gone through that same thing, and we cannot seem to be able to get anything done. We have one airplane sitting on the ground in Uanoa right now, which we cannot fly. Everything is okay with the airplane. Insurance and everything is fine. The authorities in Antigua refuse to give us permission to fly the airplane because they're saying that they had issues with the previous owner. The aircraft has a new owner, cannot fly the aircraft because the authority had issues with the previous owner.
The pilot called on the government to step in and put a stop to the monopoly.
I would like to see the government get fully involved in what's going on here, because what is happening, the Civil Aviation Authority stays up in Antigua, and if they have an issue, they call SLASPA. SLASPA would come in and ground whatever airplane that the authorities in Antigua ask them to ground. What's supposed to be done is ECA, Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation, supposed to deal with the Ministry of Civil Aviation here. There is an aviation officer. If there is a problem, the aviation officer can call us and tell us, look, this is what's going on, what is going on. And then the officer now can come and look into it. And if they need to ground the airplane, then he would do it. You understand? Because how can they stay up in Antigua and just ground an airplane here, and this Ministry of Civil Aviation here don't have a clue what's going on?
He says he hopes more people will come on board and support the government's decision on this matter. The newly elected president of the Disabled People's International North America and the Caribbean, Murphylis James, says people with disabilities in St. Lucia are well catered to during times of natural disasters.
In preparation of the passage of Tropical Storm Dorian, the powers that be went all out to ensure that all safety measures were put in place and that all areas were covered where the well-being of the citizenry was concerned. However, Hot 7 News sought to find out whether the well-being of one of the island's vulnerable groups was catered to. When presented with the question, President of the Disabled Persons International North America and the Caribbean, Murphylis James, who also serves as the President of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities right here in St. Lucia, revealed that the sect was not forgotten about and that there are working measures put in place for them during times of natural disasters.
With regard to evacuation plans and measures in place for persons with disabilities during the passage of a storm or in any natural disaster, I am pleased to report that over the past few months, we have been heavily engaged by NEMO in this regard. Our council has been invited to workshops. We have been kept apprised of all new measures and policies in place. So at the community disaster committee levels, there are measures and policies in place for communities to account for their persons with disabilities, to undertake community mapping processes to ensure they know where the most vulnerable persons are, especially persons with disabilities who may require assistance.
James said it is important for families and caregivers of persons with disabilities to play their part in ensuring that the said individuals receive the care that they need.
We would first of all expect persons, families and their caregivers to be the first ones to account for them rather than a community disaster committee. But we also acknowledge the reality that there are blind couples who live alone. There are persons with disabilities who do live alone and will require the support of the community.
On the other hand, James said one must bear in mind that during times of disasters, fear might get the better of some individuals. This, he said, is the reason why ample preparation is vital.
From my experience of my colleagues in Dominica who went through Hurricane Maria, when such frightening events occur, persons without disabilities are sometimes reduced to such emotionally fragile states that they can't even see about themselves. Now to have to go and see about other people. So we must be aware. We can never take these things for granted. That people without disabilities may be so worried about themselves or their own families that they may not have ample time to go see about other people. So we always encourage people, you can never be too cautious when we deal with hurricanes and the forces of nature, that people need to take all precaution to ensure that they are safe during such times.
St. Lucia was placed under a national shutdown between the hours of 6 p.m. on Monday, August 26th, through to 10 a.m. the following day as a precautionary measure for the passage of Tropical Storm Dorian. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us, there's more after the break.